There's uncertainty over whether the Strait of Hormuz is open for maritime traffic, despite both Iran and the US saying it is. The closure has choked global energy supplies for weeks. In the past hour, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, Mohammad Ghalibaf, says the US blockade on Iran renders the strait closed. He says ships can only pass through designated routes and with Iran's authorization. President Donald Trump insists the blockade will only be lifted the moment a peace deal is reached with Tehran. Trump had earlier declared the Strait of Hormuz is, quote, completely open and ready for business. There have also been mixed messages regarding the future of more than 400 kilograms of Iran's enriched nuclear material. Trump has declared that the US will get it, but Iran has rejected this outright. Washington and Tehran could be headed for a second round of talks, possibly within the coming days. Trump claims a deal is mostly complete. However, an Iranian source has told Al Jazeera that negotiations are still at a very early stage, and the next step will be agreeing on a framework for negotiations, not a final agreement. Now, Donald Trump has been speaking at a rally in Arizona, and this is what he said just a short while ago.
And this process, we're getting along well, but who knows? Who knows with anyone, but who knows with Iran in particular? This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to. You'll be very happy. The USA will get all nuclear dust, but Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed or is removing all of the sea mines. And most importantly, it never agreed, and you'll understand, they will never have a nuclear weapon. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
Now, Mohammad Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Iranian parliament, a key player in the negotiations with the US, has posted on X saying, the President of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. They didn't win the war with these lies, and they certainly will not get anywhere in negotiations either. With the continuation of the blockade, the Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. Passage through the strait will be conducted based on the designated route and with Iranian authorization. Whether the strait is open or closed and the regulations governing it will be determined by the field, not by social media. Now, Mike Hanna joins us from the White House. Now, Donald Trump says all the things have been agreed. However, that's come as a surprise to the Iranians. So what's exactly Donald Trump been saying over the last few hours?
Well, he's been very upbeat. He's been talking up a framework that he believes would lead to imminent negotiations or a resumption of negotiations. Throughout the day, in social media posts, in various interviews, and in that speech that you mentioned there, he's been framing the whole day in the fact that negotiations are imminent, or a resumption of negotiations are imminent. There are still significant differences, but President Trump says, no, these significant differences are not significant. They are easily overcome, that many points of agreement have already been made. But to take one example, for example, President Trump continues to insist that the situation in Lebanon is completely separate from Iran-US negotiations. Iran says that an end to the Israeli advance and war in Lebanon is a precondition for any lasting agreement and, in fact, for any negotiations to take place. So while President Trump is talking up and writing up a storm on his social media, there still seems to be a massive gap between the parties, a gap that President Trump appears reluctant or unwilling to acknowledge.
That's Mike Hanna live for us there from the White House. Abbas Aslani is a senior research fellow at the Center for Middle East Strategic Studies. He's joining us from Tehran. I want to get into the detail of one of the points that seems to be the major contention. It's whether the Strait of Hormuz is actually open. Donald Trump is insisting it's open, but Tehran is very clear. It says it's not us that's blocking it now. It's the Americans. So what is Tehran's position right now?
Well, Tehran is saying that the Strait of Hormuz is open based on, certain conditions, meaning that it's open to commercial vessels and not to the hostile, let's say, nations. and the vessels need to transit through the designated route by Iran and through coordination with Iranian authorities. But one thing which could be a point of contention is that Tehran insists that the naval blockade adopted by the U.S. against the country is a violation of the ceasefire agreement previously brokered by Pakistan, and this can provoke a reaction from the Iranian side. But the U.S. is saying that this blockade can be lifted if there is a deal done. But this is something which is not a problem today, but might be, the point of contention in the days to come. And in addition to that, we are seeing that there's a divergence in the narratives about what is taking place in the process. And despite some common, grounds, there are also differences.
Now, Abbas, in the next coming days, there may well be, and this is not confirmed, but there may well be direct negotiations between Iran and the US. Now, this is being framed by Donald Trump as we've got mostly a deal, but the Iranians have walked this back, and they're saying, actually, we're talking about the framework for the negotiations, not the final settlement. So what do they mean by framework for the negotiations? Surely that's already been settled.
Imran, it is about mostly the framework and the preliminary agreement, that what a potential agreement can look like. It means that on in principle, they can agree on major issues like Iran's right to enrich, as well as, the highly enriched uranium stockpile, the Strait of Hormuz, and etc. But down the road, they will need to finalize the details. And the details, if not more important than the framework, they will not be less important. So that's why Iran is a bit cautious about the process. And they think that nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. And they are in a wait-and-see mode to see how the upcoming discussions will unfold. And there's no official confirmation from the Iranian side on a potential second round. However, if there is any progress on the remaining issues, I think that round can be held in sometime in future.
I mean, Abbas, we've spoken about this before. You use the word there, cautious. Iran's being cautious. Is it caution or is it simply mistrust?
It is a caution based on mistrust, because Iran has been engaging with the United States, specifically under Trump, for twice, and it was attacked militarily. And that was happening in the middle of negotiation where they're making progress. So that's why at the moment Iran, thinks that it is facing a dual track from the U.S. On the one side, things are moving ahead in a direction that there might be a potential agreement, but on the other, Iran is facing naval blockade, occasional sanctions being imposed against the country, as well as U.S. military presence in the region, which makes Iran a bit cautious on what the U.S. is seeking. And sometimes the political shifting by the U.S., raises this question whether the U.S. is maybe torpedoing the process, or they are seeking to get more compromises from Tehran. So that's why Iranian negotiators are cautious, contrary to what is being heard from the American side.
That's Abbas Islani there, live for us from Tehran. Thank you. Now, the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, has met